Graphics and Signs, 101 East Renfro, Sweet C in Burleson, Texas, can handle all of your graphic needs. Need a banner or promotional products for your business? They got you covered. T-shirts and caps for your group. All you need to figure out is if you want them screen printed or embroidered. How about some slick graphics on that hot ride to make you stand out from the crowd? Accelerated Graphics and Signs can handle anything you throw at them. Located at 101 East Renfro Street, Sweet C in Burleson, Texas, go in and see them. Call them at 817-991-0523 or reach them on the web at www.acceleratedgraphics.net. They are loud and proud and want to serve you. Accelerated Graphics.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they've got you covered.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson in Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry out, and all your catering needs.
And good morning, everybody. I am Tiffany Carlen. You can't see me.
She's trying to talk.
And that's okay. With Nona Reed and
we're
Jimmy
not hearing
Stanford at the table. You can't hear me?
Tiffany, we're not hearing you.
What the?
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Jimmy Stanford. Many of y'all know me as a different hat, but today I am just a Burleson ISD citizen, taxpayer, and there's a race coming up. So I get the opportunity to sit here today and put on a different hat and try and ask one of the candidates some questions that have been coming out, and just try and get some answers and find out what's going on in this upcoming election, and really make a good, solid decision. So for those of you that know me as a councilman, that's not the hat I'm wearing today. I'm wearing the Jimmy Stanford hat, Burleson ISD resident and taxpayer. So I have with me Miss Nona Reed, one of our candidates today. How are you today, Nona?
I'm doing good.
Great. Well, like I say, we have an election coming up. So tell me,
Yes.
why are you running for Burleson ISD?
Well, I just wanted to serve. That's probably the biggest word I can think of right now, because I had done my time as a teacher. I enjoyed it. I still keep in contact with my kids. Some of them are parents with children of their, husband, wives, parents, and I enjoy seeing them grow into adulthood. And I've had great rapports with parents that I've actually kept in contact with that are, their kids are still in the school system, but I know they're thriving and doing great with the stuff that had happened in my classroom. And they've been able to just do some wonderful things, especially if they were in the dyslexia program. And so when I left, I jokingly said to my husband, and this was back in 2016, I said, I think I might run for school board one day. And he was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, how else I could do some serving that way, And I don't want to go back into the classroom, but I want to serve." And and Jimerson and I had passed a couple of times in different events. And I would say to him, I think I might run for school board. And he's like, against an incumbent? Well, if the incumbents are never going to decide to step down, then yeah, I'm going to have to go against an incumbent. So it kind of got to that point. And so kind of here we are.
And it's unusual because we're here at a different time than the normal election time, correct? What's up with that?
Okay. So I put my application in, and they came back and said I did not fill it out correctly. So I sent it to Secretary of State. Secretary of State said, yes, you did. They sent a letter to the school district and said she is a valid candidate. You need to put her on the ballot. They chose to ignore. Several concerned taxpayers went to the board meeting that they were going to vote that night, and stated their comments like, we want an election. Do not take our voters' rights away. Well, they voted to cancel the election. And I had done an open records request because what a lot of people don't understand is we haven't had an election since 2017 in Burleson ISD, mainly because there was a person who stepped down from BISD to run in a state election situation. So she had to step down. So if that's the last time we had an election, what's been going on? So I did an open records request only to find out that the last 2 years, because that's as far back they keep their paperwork, and that's supposedly, state mandated kind of thing. The last 2 elections that should have happened, there were candidates. I wasn't the only candidate that had put my name on the ballot. There was someone that was running for place 2 this election back in May, and there was someone last year. They found flaws on their applications, on all of our applications, and then denied us all. That's when I decided there's a pattern here, and why do they keep trying to silence us? And so I then hired the lawyer. Then the appeals court said, nope, there's going to be an election. And technically, if they followed all the bylaws, then we would be looking at a November election. But not everything was followed correctly. A lot of people don't understand that because they haven't been really up to date on their Opens Meeting Act or I mean, this is a lot of stuff I've had to learn as I'm running for this. It's not just something I just knew. You've got to be knowledgeable in what you're doing. And if I'm wanting to go into this position, I need to be knowledgeable of everything I need to know, because I don't want to be violating anything. And so come to, realization that because of the time frame, we weren't going to be able to get this election moved to November. It was get out there and campaign. So that's what we've started doing. No, it is not ideal, but I'm doing my best in getting done what I can get done. So, but I'm trying to give the voice to our taxpayers. You have been silenced as a taxpayer since pretty much 2017 on voting. I can't tell you what the record before that was, but I can tell you at least the last 2 years you have been silenced for voting.
And let's be clear that not every single blank on the application has to be filled in. It's much like when you fill out a form on the internet, and some boxes are optional, some are required. Did you fill out all the required boxes correctly?
I did. Yes, I did. And that's why the Secretary of State said to go ahead and put me on the ballot.
And I understand the state does training with the school district,
yes,
and make sure that they understand what is the required
correct
boxes ahead
yes
of time. Okay.
So there were trained people from the school system that had been to that state election training.
Okay. Now, you mentioned there was actually another candidate that actually filled out the form, and I think they had left an optional box not filled out. Is that my understanding?
Well, it is required one, but I mean, honestly, they could have just called that person up and said, "Hey, you left off your occupation. Here's the problem." I'm not sure at the time he had a physical job, because he was an employee in our district, a principal, and he had left, or as I was told, he retired. I'm not sure if that's the situation or not. I don't know all the details. I'm not going to go into that because I don't know. But I did try to reach out to him. He was not willing to fight the battle with me. And I can see why. I'll tell you, I understand exactly why he would not have wanted to fight this battle. It has been brutal.
I've seen that. I've seen online the different attacks and what have you. I want to thank you. For me, I want to thank you personally, because I am a voter, and I greatly appreciate somebody willing to stand up and say, "Hey, you know what? All voters deserve the right to vote, regardless of who they vote for. They deserve that right." I mean, that's what our country's founded on. It's the principle that we have a right to elect the people that represent us. And so I appreciate you fighting this battle and at least getting us to this point where everybody has a right to finally cast a ballot.
Yeah. Just now we've got to get them aware that there's still a lot of people that aren't aware there is an election going on.
And so when is election day officially?
Okay. So the election day is officially August 20th, and it's going to all take place, as far as voting, at the admin building off of the corner of Elk and Wilshire, across from the police department. It's on the side where it says boardroom. And there's enough signs, I think, once you get in there now. At first there wasn't, but there's enough signs now that you should be able to kind of direct exactly where you need to go. Literally in and out within a minute. I mean, you hand them your driver's license, you get scanned, you choose a ballot, and you sit down and you mark. There's 2 people on the ballot. You probably don't even have to sit down. I mean, most of y'all know who you're voting for once you walk in there. It's those who are going in there already have some kind of knowledge. So we're not just having people go in there and not really have any knowledge of what's going on, because if they don't have any knowledge, then it's because they don't know there's an election. And also the big preconceived notion is, well, I live like out in the country. What you need to understand is you're still a Burleson ISD taxpayer. You're paying school taxes, no matter if your grandchildren your grandchildren go there, or your grandchildren don't go there, or your children no longer go there, or you never had kids in the system, you're still paying school taxes. Also, if you're a renter, you're paying school taxes. I promise you, you are. Go exercise your right to vote. If you live out in that country, I live out in the country, and a couple of my neighbors, I was talking to them, and I said, "You pay Burleson ISD school taxes?" And they go, "Yeah." I go, "You can vote." And they go, "Oh, we can?" So that's a lot of things. There's several little things that we don't think of that people are going, "I didn't know I could vote." I had someone say, I saw somewhere, and not that I'm on Facebook a lot because I am trying to stay away from that negativity, but I I saw her say she lived in Cross Timbers. She lives in the Burleson ISD school district. She's paying those taxes. So yes, she can go vote. She was like, "I don't think I can vote because I live in Cross Timbers," and no one's answered her. I've reached out to her and told her, "Yes, you can go vote." I did not go vote for me. I said, "Yes, you can go vote."
And that's the important thing,
So
is that people just need to vote.
right.
Research the candidates, decide what's right for you, and go vote, because it's important.
Right.
If you think about it, your school taxes, maybe you pay as much as let's say the average person pays about $4,000 a year in school taxes,
Mhm.
and you start paying those when you're 20,
Mhm.
and you live to be 80. That's 60 years.
Yeah.
That's almost $250,000 that you're going to pay in school taxes. Why would you not want to say and where your money's going, or
Right.
or any of that?
And that's why I really feel like our community needs to be more involved in going to the meetings, and I wish they were live. Hopefully that will be happening soon. But if someone can't make it, I feel like they should be able to watch it in real time. But I also feel like you need, as a citizen, you should be in there and listening to what's going on.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned, Facebook earlier and some of the negativity. I've seen some stuff out there. Let me ask you this. So there's going around Facebook, there's this thing about, oh, well, she's not eligible for rehire. Is there any truth to that?
No. And if they have something that says different, I would love to see it, because for everyone out there, I went ahead and did an open records request on me way before all this nasty came out, because I knew what I'd been through when I left the district. I wanted to see what was going to be put out there. And nowhere in any of the file did I get anything that said I was not eligible for rehire. And from what I understand, they're taking a comment from the agreement, and let's talk about the agreement.
Yes, I actually pulled that as well, so I got it with me.
They're taking a comment from an agreement that was saying I was being fired, kind of thing, and that I was no longer eligible for rehire. First of all, I had been fighting this for a whole summer. I'm the one who hired an attorney because I was being wrongfully accused. I did a lot of documentation and a lot of my time. I feel like I should have been a lawyer by the time I finished. I'm not joking. I constantly was pulling up stuff that I could get pulled that showed I did not do the stuff she was accusing me of, and I had documentation. There was proof in every accusation she had that I did not do anything wrong. Okay. So back at the end of July, I decided to just step down, because my grandmother had fallen ill and went back into the hospital. Now, no one understands that the year before, at that same week, my uncle passed away. So her oldest son had passed away, and now, sorry.
That's fine. If you need a moment.
My grandmother had just went into the hospital. I was her biggest caretaker, because she only had her granddaughter, and which I was the oldest grandchild, and my aunt. All the other one were men, and they were all involved in their jobs and things. And my aunt at the time had already lost her husband, so she was the only bread maker in her house, so she couldn't take off. So I was the one who took off. Now, I worked for the school district for 16 years. I had banked like over 40 days that I had not used because I was hardly ever absent. So when she fell ill, yes, that year I had missed more days than usual. Nothing that was out of compliant. Let's make that very clear because that is something that's being said. I chose to quit fighting this battle. I I let them silence me. I did. I said, I'm done with this. I don't want to do it anymore. So because it was after the 45-day notice of us starting the first day of school, which is anybody can go look that up. A teacher or anyone on staff has to give like a 45-day notice before the first instructional day, or the school can do certain things. One of them is to hold your teaching certificate for a year. Hold it. Now, you get it back, but then people are going to be asking, like if you go to apply somewhere else, they'll ask, well, why did you have a hold on it? So then you have to explain yourself there. So I did not really want the hold because I didn't know what my future was going to bring. I didn't know if I'd go back into teaching or not. So then they used that time to utilize the settlement agreement. In other words, they were trying to get me to drop the lawsuit. It all came down to that. So I wanted certain agreements also, So we went back and forth. This is not the final one. Did I agree with everything on this? No, but it was at this point I was okay. This is sufficient enough. I'm ready to move on. So in February, March, teachers get their contract for the following year. So usually in February or March, if you are not going to be asked back or whatever. Now, I got a contract, but if my situation was this severe, then why did I get a contract? There should have been something going on, but I did get a contract and I was hireable. They had already hired me for the following year. So when this says it dissolves all my duties for that 16-17 year, it's because I had already signed a contract, people. Yeah. That was how they had to. This was legal documentation that if any teacher had left after signing her contract and not giving that 45-day notice, that would have been the same situation. So it
and when I read it, and I've read some of these comments, I usually reference number one, which I'll read it out for those that don't have the time to sit down and research.
Yes, because all this is on my Facebook website
there
with documentation open.
And I appreciate transparency.
Thank you.
I'm big on transparency. So number one says, Nona Reed hereby resigns her 2016-2017 teacher term contract and employment at BISD effective immediately, which is what you were saying. Reed will perform no further duties for BISD as the day of resignation. They're hanging their hat on that particular sentence. Well, that sentence, all that means is simply this, for those that are listening, is that, okay, effective immediately, she's not with the BISD at all. So she can't do anything BISD related. We don't condone that. That's standard terminology and right. any exit, especially dealing with contracts, because you need to sever that.
Yeah. And to make people understand that a teacher's contract is usually August to like the last day of school, depending on what kind of contract you have. Some go a little further into another week afterwards. Counselors sometimes go in a week to 2 weeks after and go a week and 2 weeks in at the beginning. So we all have kind of a different number contract. Teachers have kind of the same. So literally I had actually already fulfilled my 2015-2016 contract at the end of June, or at the beginning of June, I'm sorry. End of May, beginning of June. And so my new contract wasn't to to begin until August of 2016, 2017. Okay. So, yeah, I wasn't going to perform any further duties. I mean,
yes. And now, how many years did you do with Burleson ISD?
I was in Burleson ISD for 16 years.
Wow. So just to make sure I understand, because I've never been a teacher.
Uh-huh.
So if you become a teacher, you're not guaranteed long-term employment. You're only guaranteed really employment till the next year. You have to perform at a high enough level that they're willing to bring you back and give you a new contract. And if they don't, they can just sit there and say, no, we're not going to give you a contract, and you'll go on your road.
Well, I mean,
that kind of right? Or am I misunderstanding?
Kind of, yes. Once you have fulfilled your probation time, it's changed, because I think at one time it was like 3 years you're kind of on probation, so they can not renew your contract without really any reason.
Okay.
Well, and now I think it's only a year now.
But they can do it with reason, I guess, right?
So if there was ample reason and there was proof and like write-ups, many conversations that have been documented, things like this, then they would have a reason to kind of go, we're not sure about if we should be given our contract or not. 9 times out of 10, what they can do, and there's not a teacher or a principal that can fight this, if they don't really like your performance and they really want to get rid of you, but they can't because they don't have documentation of written, reprimand, they can then reassign you. Okay. And you are reassigned and you don't have a choice. Now, it's to make your life miserable and make you quit. Yes. Really, it is. And if there's any teachers or principals, they are giggling because they know that's the truth. That is the absolute truth. If they do not want you and they can't get rid of you, they'll reassign you.
Got it.
So,
well, do you have your last efficiency? Maybe the last one they did?
Yes. So,
or performance review,
my observation report, my evaluation. Yes.
It's called many different things by many different companies.
So, in my 16 years of evaluations, I had great evaluations. Never had anything that was negative, always positive. And this one actually was finished because it starts out at the beginning of the school year, and then this person evaluates you kind of throughout the year, and then does actual classroom evaluation like twice. So one at the beginning and one at the end, but they kind of monitor your situation as you go. So because I was an itinerant, meaning I went around to 2 different campuses, I had 2. One person had the high schools, so she had 2 plus an middle school, so she had 3. So it just depended on our numbers and all that kind of stuff. So my supervisor was my department head, who was at the admin building. Our evaluator was the person that was at that campus that we were considered a home campus, because I may have had 2 campuses, but I had a home campus. So my home campus was where my my assistant principal would do the evaluation. This evaluation was signed on May 23rd. It's all glowing. And yes, there is areas that she could have put something about improvement of maybe absences that wasn't talked about. And here you go. So and this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Go right ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to ask you. So the last box I see on there. So I've never been a teacher, so I don't understand how all of this stuff works. But the last box I see is professional practice and responsibilities, with item number 1 being professional demeanor and ethics.
Right.
Ethics has a very important meaning to me, and I look at this and I see an observer rating of accomplished.
Uh-huh.
What is the different levels of scores you can get on these things? I see proficient on a lot of this, but I do see accomplished when we talk about your demeanor and ethics.
Oh my gosh. You would ask that, and I don't know. They've changed over the years.
At this time,
I'm trying to think.
I apologize.
I think I'm so sorry. Um,
I would think.
accomplish is average,
Yeah.
and proficient would be I go above and beyond.
Okay.
So I don't remember what all of the wording ratings were at the time. I'm sorry.
So there's no knock on you here on demeanor
Right.
and ethics.
So
that
I
you
was
exhibit demeanor and ethics.
right, which would come into play about my absences.
And this is somebody that would have actually later their name is included, isn't it, in the write-up?
Yes. So in the
must be commercial time. We'll come back to that.
Abnormal realities.
I love my mom.
Yep. She sent me a message.
My mom did?
Yeah, Wednesday night. And she invited me over tomorrow night to watch Titanic and share a bowl of popcorn. And I accepted.
You did?
Yep.
That'd be fun.
And she calls it Chaps Only Night. Every Saturday night.
Look.
Miss Dixie,
Look,
how you doing? He said, it's my mom, bro. All right, it's my mom.
I want to hear the answer to the Titanic and popcorn. Go ahead, Mom. What's up?
Oh!
Hi, boys. I just wanted to ask Rocky if he wanted butter on that popcorn or not.
I would rather have the butter somewhere else, but if popcorn's the only place I can have it, I'll take it.
Jeez,
hey,
dude.
nobody says I can't roll around in it for a little bit.
All right, Mom.
That is my
love
girl.
You.
I love you,
Mom.
Dixie.
Abnormal realities.
My mom, love you.
Dixie.
Bye, I love you too.
With Ron and Rocky. Weekdays, 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. on JoCo Community Radio.
Holy crap.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Like I said, I'm trying to wear a different hat today. It's my first time, so I apologize to any sponsors out there that I may have excluded. My apologies. So I do need to read a commercial to you. So JoCo Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. To listen or watch, simply go to tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. The JoCo Community Radio app is now available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more on JoCoCommunityRadio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Miss Nona Reed, at 844.tx.hell. Thank you. And welcome back, everybody.
Thank you. So I'm trying to remember where we left off. Okay, so my assistant principal was my supervisor, and so we kind of read over some comments over on the page. So apparently someone on Facebook said you basically evaluate yourself. I'm very, very sorry to tell you that is not accurate. Any teacher will and principal will verify that I do not do this. This is literally typed up and done by my supervisor at the time. Now, they're all going to change depending on who was the assistant principal or your supervisor at the time. It's not always the assistant principal. She is the one who also signed it. She's the one who typed all this up. She went over with me after she had observed me once again at the end of the school year and gone over all this with me. So this is not I don't have any access to this until she prints it out and we sign it. So that is very inaccurate information. I'm sorry to tell you. And here's the kind of the timeline, because when you look at the supervisor that, or I should say the evaluating supervisor at the time, she was my home campus assistant principal. She had nothing negative to say about me, but apparently, and this is what I find very odd, when I was called in, I had no idea what I was being called into. And I even asked, like, can I have an idea? And I was being told no. So I was hit blindsided by Gartrell and Kirkpatrick, who is still there, by the way. They were hitting me blindsided, and they also accused me of doing fraud and and saying they're going to fire me. That is why I walked out and hired my ATPE lawyer, because you're threatening and saying I committed fraud, and I didn't.
And let's be clear. Now, you needed accommodations. Obviously, you told us earlier.
Mhm.
Now, did you speak with your supervisors and let them know what you were going through?
Yes, and that was all documented too. So anytime Gartrell knew that my grandmother was getting more ill and that I was taking her to the doctor more often, and that was something that was already talked about. There's documentation, and I provided this documentation because she's like, you didn't text me or email me or da. And I was like, yeah, here it is. So everything she would say, I had documentation proving otherwise. And so then it was like she types up this thing that to me is very unprofessional. It's not professionally done. If you are a admin and a doctorate, I would think it'd be a little more professional. But she accuses a lot of people in here. But then when you go and look at the dates and times, they don't line up with the paperwork that was sent through email. So to me, it looks like she went looking for these people and then they sent an email, because that's what I'm seeing with the dates. So, and then she did print off all of my emails from my 2011 to 2016, which is the years I was in my dyslexia program, even though she wasn't my supervisor at the time for most of those. She printed them all off. So, people are saying there's 300 pages of documents. Let's be factual. There is 300 pages. A lot of it is emails from past years.
So not relevant.
They're not relevant. And the second thing is she printed off all my FOB opening and closing, which match up with the days I was there, by the way. Sometimes I wasn't in a classroom because we were meeting as a team or we were at a conference. So even though sometimes I might have been on, working, I might not have been in a classroom at the time because we did a lot of other things. So that's pretty thick in itself of the FOB entries plus the sign-in sheets. Now, it has been known many times by dyslexia people or itinerant people, not just dyslexia, that first of all, I have to fob in to get in a door, except at the end of the day when I would go back to my home campus where the school was already out and I'd go in, because sometimes we had meetings. I had another meeting with the RTI meeting, which was an intervention meeting for kids that might be being looked into, dyslexia for testing, things like that. So I had to go back to my home campus most of the time, actually, because there was something going on there. And my kid was there at the end of the day, so I needed to pick him up at the end of the day anyway. So by the time I got to the other campus, they were already holding up open the door for the school bus. So I didn't enter back in with my fob because they would open the door out of courtesy. But you could have easily gone back and seen me come through the doors on the cameras, kind of thing. So a lot of this is after the fact, as far as okay, I had 25 kids that year, say 25. I would have to really do, it was about 25. We had 2 complaining supposedly about this after the fact. And again, their dates are after she started doing her investigation. And then she put out a letter saying I didn't comply, which was false because 504 was not special ed, and there were 2 different dyslexia fell under 504, 2 different components, not the same stuff. And that was one of the things I was complaining about that she was trying to do. She was trying to make us more of a special ed group, and we weren't. And Texas had not gone there at that time. Now they have gone there now, and our dyslexia are under special ed. But that was years after I left, not any time while I was there. And one parent was upset because the kid had actually graduated from the program. The assessment was beautiful. I went in front of the 504 committee, which was the regular teacher, the counselor, and the principal or assistant principal. And normally the parent, I don't know, I can't remember if that parent was there or not. She did not want me to take the kid out of the program. Well, if the kid has successfully finished the program, I can't legally keep them in. And I had no data proving to do anything other than take him out. And so everyone in that committee agreed he needed to be taken out of the program. He had accomplished the program.
And some of these programs,
and
I guess,
so,
are state funded. Correct?
Yes.
So you have to comply
yes,
with state.
Yes. Well, and dyslexia at the time was kind of weird. No one school in our state had the same program. We got to adopt our program, and our program was very, very, it was powerful. It was a great program, and I'm not sure if they still use it because I've been gone for a while and not really looked into it. But we had people that were moving from school districts to our school district that had kids that were dyslexia, so they could. The program was so powerful. It was set up so well that kids did well, and our dyslexia kids were blossoming. So it was a great program. And I was watching it being deteriorated when she took over. And of course I spoke out, and that put an X on my back.
Well, I thank you for speaking out. And I really appreciate the fact that you've been able to explain what happened here and why you felt the need to resign, and just to get your voice in on that.
Right.
Let me ask you something. And certainly I greatly appreciate that, because there's been a lot of stuff out on the internet as far as trying to spin things certain ways. So I appreciate hearing from you firsthand.
Thank you. As
far as what actually happened, the fact that you did resign, and why you felt it and didn't need to resign,
right.
Even why you had to hire an attorney is because it definitely is curious.
Well, and so I was
that.
hoping, thank you. I was hoping that people would actually go do their research and their due diligence and go to the website like NonaReed.com and see the truth and see this documentation that we have right here in front of us right now, that everybody also has, by the way. But there's still a lot of people that will not go do their due diligence. So that is why,
and that's
I felt like I needed to speak about this.
That's
yes.
I want to come on and ask you. I get firsthand information from you. Well, let me ask you this, Nona. So can you tell me some of your more positive stories? Give me an example of something that created a lasting memory for you. You did 16 years. I know there had to be there had to be more than what we have time for, but just try and think of.
The thing, I'm going to actually talk about time as a language arts teacher.
Okay.
I remember when I've always wanted to be a teacher, by the way. And my mom can contest to this. I used to play school in the garage and write on all the walls with chalk. And so it's always been, I just had a heart for teaching. And of course, then I chose middle school kids because I love I love that great age, and most people do not want to teach middle school. But I remember thinking, okay, I want to be an English teacher, but I don't want to be that English teacher that everybody thinks, oh, I don't want to go into English. It's so boring. So I always wanted to make it fun. Like you'd come into my class and I would have these long pillows and I would have kids spread out throughout the room. They were collaborating and talking about the stuff that was going on at the time, the lesson going on. They weren't, I always told them collaboration is not cheating. When you're collaborating with someone and you're talking about, hey, I don't quite understand this question. Could you help me understand it? That doesn't mean you give me what you wrote.
No, that's a good
Right.
answer. That's it.
And so we would talk about things like that. And we would talk about, I always joked at the beginning of each 6 weeks, I'd say, okay, everybody has 100. Now keep it. It's your paycheck. And so we'd talk about your grade is your paycheck. And that, that's something you wanted to keep up. I had very few failures. And those who did struggle, I spent a lot of time with them going, okay, we need to look and see what the issue is. And so any of my English students, my language arts students would look back and tell you her class was enjoyable and I learned. I mean, I can tell you a lot of my students know the word a lot is two separate words. Now, I know I'm not a perfect English teacher or a perfect grammar person, but I can tell you that was always one of my pet peeves, and they always joked about it. And we still joke about it on Facebook, So, there's just certain things that they threw a baby shower for me when I was pregnant with Dalton. One of my pre-AP classes, they surprised me. I didn't even know they were going to do it. They worked with other teachers. Man, I was loved that much that they took and put all that effort into it and did that. And it was very special to me. And I enjoyed teaching. I enjoy still working with students and I hate that there has been a lot of negativity towards me of people saying we have to protect our children. I'm not a pedophile, people. I didn't do anything wrong. And all I did was I cared. And yes, I did care about my grandmother and my family too.
Well, and that's important. It is a servitude heart, and that's something that we need in our classrooms. Let me ask you, what would you like to say to your fellow educators, the teachers out there?
Well, I have felt this way for a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, I remember sitting as a testing coordinator and not a dyslexia teacher. That's what I went to after testing. I remember thinking, man, I don't know if I ever want to go back into the classroom because the stuff that was being put on our teachers just felt like their voice was being taken away. And I look back and now I definitely see it. Our teachers are not being asked about what curriculum they think together as a collaborated group they should be teaching. They're being told what to teach now. I just don't feel like they have a voice in their profession anymore at all. And I hate that. And that's what I'm trying to give back to them.
Wonderful. Let me ask you something. I've seen a lot of people, or I've heard from a lot of people that are concerned about the amount of taxes they pay. and they're concerned about that maybe the school district's gotten too top heavy, that there's too many administrators. Would you favor, and this happens in the corporate world a lot of times, where they'll do a staffing study where they bring in a third party to go in and look and say, okay, is everybody needed? Are there some duplicate positions that we can combine? That sort of thing. Would you favor maybe doing a staffing study at our school just to make sure that our tax dollars are being efficiently spent?
Oh, yes, 100%. I just feel like teachers are underpaid. And when I say teachers, I also mean, our principals at the school level they're not, that's not where the money is really being put, is on our teachers and our admin and our principals and assistant principals. The money is, from what I'm seeing, is more at the top level at admin. And that's where we really do need to look and see, where do we need 4 people in that same position, or 15, 16, who knows? I don't think there's been a good study to show that. And there's some things that, again, that have been created that has taken the voice away from our teachers, that needs to be given back to our teachers. They're the ones in the classroom working with these kids.
And let's be real, the teachers are the ones that really make our district.
Right.
And so, it's I think it's valuable to at least know, to at least have an outsider come and look and just
it's nice to look and be able to. And I do know of one board member at another district that actually did this. She got on the board, and then they started looking at all of positions, and were that many people needed. And yeah, I mean, I understand it might dissolve a position up there, but if it's a position that we're not needing and that is not really holding its merit at 6 figures, which most of them are making, then yeah, we need to look at either there needs to be a shift. Definitely needs to be a shift.
Use some of that money on school supplies. You probably had to buy some school supplies in your career, didn't you?
Right now, I've been watching my teacher friends go back to, getting their classroom ready, and the amount of money that is spent. It doesn't matter if you are a first-year teacher or a 30-year teacher. You are spending a lot of money every year on your classroom, because no teacher I know does the same theme every year, or even repeated a theme. So yes, it's been a lot of money that they do not get back.
No,
So,
and the teachers are typically on the lower end of the pay scale.
Oh,
in
yes.
the school
Yes, they
districts.
are.
So, and they're also the ones that have to pay for their own resources.
Yes. And just going back to some of the chats, someone asked, are school members paid salary? No, they are not. It is a zero. We don't even get the $5 that the city gets.
Thank you.
So it is a non-paid position, and they do have to do what they call as an OMA, which is Open Meetings Act training. It's an hour. I've already done it, by the way, and already have my certificate. And they have to do that every time they're sworn back in, and that has to be on file. So they should be fully aware of any meeting rules and regulations when it comes to the Open Meetings Act, or board policies, or state policies, and following them. So
great. And again, I'm definitely
trying to get it all.
Definitely, I am not the expert sitting here. You will have your expert host back next week. So I apologize. So you've been sending in comments. I haven't even looked over that way. So my apologies.
They actually said you're doing pretty good.
They're just being nice.
So
let's see what else I have for you. Then, do we have some on there that we need to address as I look through this?
I'm going to kind of look around. Let's see. That one's about. So yeah, the agreement settlement was simply with my resignation. It was not a firing, and that's what a lot of people are saying. And yes, we've actually requested and open records about specifically asking if I was ineligible, and they were only the person was only provided with the settlement agreement, which is clear I am eligible for rehire. Now, if I was probably going to put one in right now, I'm pretty sure they would not even look at me because I've stirred up the pot. So,
This is true.
I mean, look, I'm not looking to get hired anyway. I will tell you, when I left, I have several people that are in different outside districts that when I left the district, they actually asked me to come in. Very respected people, people on a very high level. I'm going to keep out who they are just because, look, I know every teacher, I have had teachers reach out to me. I have had friends that are teachers that reached out to me, some that are not even in the district anymore, that they've said, I'll never be out in public about this because it would ruin my chances of ever either coming back to this school district or this, that, and the other. But they're like, you have my support and I voted for you.
Awesome.
And so they see it. They see it. They're not going to speak up. And I don't blame them. Retaliation is very true in this area. And it's not just, I'm not saying here in Burleson, I'm saying everywhere. It happens everywhere. And so people do keep, I just found out someone that I was friends with is also very good friends with somebody else that's on the other side had unfriended me. And I've never even said one dirty, ugly thing about anybody.
Unfortunately,
so
that's the ugly part of running.
Yeah.
We're almost out of time, so I'll ask you another question. This one actually came up at a school board meeting.
Okay.
Somebody was asking about CRT. Do you favor CRT?
No, I do not.
Or regardless of whatever acronym.
Whatever, yes, because some of it is done in a yes, it's sometimes not presented as a CRT. No, I do not. And here's the thing. This is kind of where it goes back to transparency with the school board. These parents, and I did not know, what they were getting up to speak about. So this was kind of, wow, I'm glad they said that. They were asking about, was CRT being talked about, or was it being taught in our school system? And there was no, it was like, we can't respond to you. First of all, you can respond in facts.
Yes.
Again, anyone who goes and reads and takes even the hour-long course, they can respond in facts.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, that grandparent we met afterwards and I talked to her and she has reached out to me and I don't think she's actually gotten her answer. They said they would get back with her on that, but I don't think she was ever answered. And so there's not transparency there. And this could have been easily been done by either answering it there, or B, making sure it was followed up and that everybody had access to that answer to that grandparent.
Do you think the parents have a right to see their kids' curriculum maybe be posted online?
Yes. They're still your children. And by the way, again, you are the taxpayer. You're paying the taxpayers that money that's going to supposedly that curriculum, or is it a state funded? And there's no money going to that curriculum. And that's what the state has now told you, because you took that state funding that they have to teach. And that's kind of brings me into the new adopted one. That is a state one. It's mostly for elementary math and reading. It's very scripted and it's very worksheet oriented. And that concerns me in many, many, many ways. And I know of teachers in different campuses that have been told different things about how to implement this. So one campus was told, you can't speak of this to your parents. And another one was told, we don't have to follow the script, but we have to do the worksheets, kind of thing. So I don't know what the truth is on that, but
Well, folks, we're out of time. I apologize if I didn't get to all your questions. You will have a real host next week. So thank you very much. And thank you, Nona, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, JoCo Community Radio.